So, Gil, welcome to the show, my man. How's things with yourself?
Beautiful. Happy to be live with you all the way from awesome Bali.
Gil, I have to say, we have a lot of incredible views when we're recording the video aspect of this show. And where you look right now looks absolutely beautiful.
We really appreciate the fact that we made a big decision during the quarantine to stay here in Ubud instead of going back to our home in Singapore. So the view is kind of a bonus.
So effectively, if you're in Ubud, is this podcast coming out of the jungle from your end?
This is, well, I got a jungle right here behind me with 3 ponds and 2 rivers. So I'm a full jungle, and I even look like I'm in the jungle, you know. This is all COVID beard right now.
I tell you what, though, this just falls so well in suit with this show, which is pretty much you can go out there, you can create something and do it from anywhere in the world if you create freedom.
Doing that for many, many years, man. Many years.
Straight up.
Real digital nomads.
Well, Gil, you were one of the original OGs within the nomad world.
I'm learning from others. I'm a good student when it comes to being a digital nomad or a digital entrepreneur. So I'm a good student.
Well, this is pretty much the entire topic of today's show. And I really can't wait to feed this in because there's so many different angles and ways that I can segue this show with you. But before we jump into this, I'd love to know more about you. Now, we met at one of our good friends' dinners. And for me, I absolutely loved your story, both with what you do. And you had to go through a little bit of a transformation from being an introverted person to becoming or training yourself to build up the skill set of becoming a bit more extroverted so that you could really hone in on what I believe is one of your absolute true strengths, which is communications and networking. Now, before we open this up, Gil, what is the story of you? How did you become this absolute Jedi master of communications, networking, and masterminding?
So thank you for that. You know, I'm not yet there. I think in order to become a Jedi Master, you need more time and more practice. I see myself as one of the greatest students in the world of human networking. I mean, it's a subject that I need to say schools and governments and most societies in the world don't pay enough attention to. We don't learn this in school. We don't learn in school how to build relationships. We don't learn in school how to talk to people openly and truthfully and ethically. We don't learn in school, you know, why it's good to be nice to strangers. Little things like that in the last 20 years of my life, I learned the importance of it in order to fit into society. I learned the importance of it in order to thrive in society. I learned how vital it is in order to, you know, be successful in business. Without, you know, having networking and communication skills in business, most businesses struggle because they find themselves doing a lot alone, or they find themselves running employees to work for them, or struggling to find investors or to find strategic partners where we don't need to struggle. You know, I've been an immigrant since the age of 10. I left Israel with my parents at the age of 10. And from a very early stage, I had to learn what does it mean to disconnect from one community and network and learn to connect with another. And I've done that quite a few times in my life. So the idea of disconnecting and connecting with time came quite naturally to me. So I was able to move to Bali like that with my family and very quickly connect the locals, very quickly build some foundation, very quickly find friends, find people that I can have some hobbies with. And throughout my life as a serial entrepreneur, as a coach, as a speaker, I've learned that when learning to connect and disconnect from people, what you're actually building up is these really amazing muscles of understanding energies around you. And if you want to have more energy, you want to have more money, you want to have more time, free time for yourself, you got to master both the art and the science behind human networking.
How did you actually go about this? Now, obviously, you understood that, and then you had to kind of throw yourself in and go, do you know what? I'm kind of not confident enough yet. I'm kind of like introverted in myself. I can see that this is a really big thing that I need to kind of be out there and doing. what did you do to actually build that skill in yourself?
So saying I threw myself in is 100% correct, man. Like that, you can't even say it, because I threw myself in the deep end with the sharks because there was no other way. The first time that I really threw myself in was in my 20s when I moved from Canada to London, to England. And before that, I had, after college, I failed out of college miserably because I basically cheated so well that they let me pass and they got me out. But I was very resourceful and learning how to get through college, but never went to university, and jumped into a job very, very quickly in Toronto, Canada. And what was interesting at that stage is that the entrepreneur that I was working with really taught me a lot. So I felt like I was still at university, which means I didn't have a life at that stage. Every day was home, office, gym, home. So at that stage of my life, between 18 and 20, I had an amazing, perfect body. I was like every day at the gym. I had no friends, like literally no friends at all. I had a couple of people from the office that I didn't know how to build relationships with. But at that stage of my life, what I started to practice with was online dating.
Oh.
A lot of them. Oh yeah, this is like early on. This is 23 years ago. This is like the first online dating website. I found them. And
which one was it? Which one was the first one to the?
I don't remember,
to the
man. I think. Oh wait. I do remember. Wait, it was called Lava Life. It was called Lava Life. I think they've rebranded. They were bought out. They're like massive company today. But early on, where there were like hundreds of users. That's it, hundreds. It was early on. But it was fun because I was learning how to brand myself, learning how to talk about myself, learning how to ask women questions to get them talking, learning how to manage conversations. The shortest date I ever had was 15 minutes. I remember it clearly.
Gil, you can't throw that in, and I can't ask how did it only end as 15 minutes. What was?
So she didn't talk.
Oh,
I was asking questions, because I became good at asking questions, but I wasn't so confident at talking about myself so much. But I became good at asking women questions, and I asked her questions, and she gave like yes, no, like her answers were so short and so boring, and she didn't help me. So at one stage, I was like, you know what? I don't think this is going to work out. Let me pay for this cup of coffee. And I canceled the order and I just left. And it was funny because I remember that date so clearly that failure with humans is not bad. Having a bad date, having a bad business deal is not bad. And I went through that transition when I moved to England. I remember that I also tried speed dating. And that really took me out of my comfort zone when it came to speaking with women. Because speed dating, you have like 15, 20 women, and each woman you would meet for 5 minutes. Well, at one stage, I was like, well, if I mess it up with the first 5, it's okay. I have another 15. And I learned that I didn't have to talk too much, because the biggest mistakes people do is they talk too much in networking, hoping that the person would like them. But actually, you should be asking really good questions. You should be listening to them. You should be giving them attention and show them that you're really giving them attention. And for me, there was a really cool transition in my early 20s from learning to network with women, because I was single, I had a good job, and then it became learning how to network for friends. That was not easy, because in the end, when I went on dates, I wasn't actually looking for her to become my girlfriend. I was looking for her to become my friend, because at that stage in London, this is before Facebook or a lot of social media and not really much networking events, not that I was able to find easily. I didn't know how to meet friends. I remember very clearly going to the pub a few times in London and trying to speak to strangers. I was horrible at it. I had a very thick accent in English. Today, my accent is pretty much gone. But it was so difficult to be constantly rejected. And the introvert inside of my head is constantly saying, don't try it again. Don't walk up to them. Oh, they look too rich, or these guys look too busy. And I had to fight with this internal voice. Come on, you could do it. Come on, talk to one more person. Come on, try to get someone's phone number. Come on, try to be invited to another event. And I tried a lot, and I went through a ridiculous amount of successful failures that today I try to help others avoid. I like to help others avoid pain when it comes to networking because I had a lot of it. But I build up a tough, kind of a tough skin. I build up muscles when it comes to networking. In order to meet men, my strategy was to go to expos, which was really interesting, actually. In London, I used to go to a lot of like the gift expo, the home expo, the marketing expo, the Christmas expo was a lot of fun because the idea is you have a lot of people standing years apart and it's like speed dating. And I'd literally go and speak to each person for 3 to 5 minutes and see if I can get them to be interested in me. See if I can start conversations, see if I can keep their attention, see if I can develop opportunities, see if I can maybe try to make more money, see if I can if I had to learn, this was the coolest thing, I had to learn how to end conversations respectfully. That was not easy in the beginning. How do you end the conversation respectfully after 5 minutes and move to the next one? So it took a ridiculous amount of practice. And, I think that it's something that everyone needs to go through. It's like if you want to become a really good piano player or a really good chef, you need a lot of practice. Networking is the same thing. But there are a lot of life hacks. There's a lot of tricks. There's a lot of things that I give people shortcuts on how to build deeper connections quickly, how to create biz quickly, how to, I'm not going to teach someone how to fall in love quickly, but I could teach someone how to create that opportunity for love to be created, for open heart conversations to happen.
I absolutely love how you're speaking about this. I genuinely think like right now is we see it all the time on social media. We see all these like quotes where it's like, you are the product of the 5 people who you spend the most time with. And in England, there was always a saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I really feel that there's quite a lot of truth in that. And if I look back at my own story, networking, meeting new people, connections, it's always led to more doors opening. And this is, again, what I love about your line of work and pretty much what you speak about and what like your genius skill is. Now, when it comes down to obviously like communications, do you currently feel at the minute, like with the world becoming more connected if you want to put it like that way with social media, we've got all of these messaging platforms through tech. Do you actually feel that we are becoming more connected or more disconnected? How do you currently feel things are going?
So first of all, I think that's the most awesome question a person can ask another person. So thank you for asking it because, and I'm going to try to give you a short answer, man, because I'm trying to try not to go philosophical with you too much. I'd like to keep it practical so that people can make use of it, whoever is listening to this afterwards. And, the answer is both, depending on your mindset. So with some people, they feel a lot more disconnected, which has caused a lot of death. It's caused a lot of loneliness. It's caused a lot of more suicides in the world than ever before in the last 3 months because people didn't understand that there are tools, there is education, how you can use it. What does it mean to network on Zoom? Yeah, just not every day, but 3-4 times a week, I'm asked to facilitate the networking parts of events online. There's strategies of doing that, but most people don't know how to do it. So most people, what happened, they suddenly got stuck at home. They suddenly like, oh my God, I can't meet people at my office near the coffee machine or near the water cooler. Suddenly I cannot be here, I cannot be there. People got extremely disconnected. And the worst thing is people thought this was going to go by quickly. So they're like, okay, I'll wait. But the opportunity actually is, oh my God, this is so good. I have so much more time on my hands right now. I don't have to be stuck in traffic every day. And I don't have to talk to random people next to the coffee machine. And there's no need for small talk, or there's no need to go to the pub with random people every single day at 6:00. Suddenly, life is in my own hands. Oh my God, it's such an gift. So suddenly, if I allocate time every single day, I can go online and I can find events, I can find sharing circles, I can find networking groups. There are so many events happening online. There are so many opportunities. There's so many technologies there to help us out. The question then becomes, is the person curious? curiosity is to me one of the most beautiful things that allowed me to, constantly develop myself. Because, as I mentioned before, I didn't do well in school. I failed out of 3 high schools, and college I really passed because I was very resourceful in cheating and just copying from others and finding the answers on the web somehow, And it was cool because this is 23 years ago, where the internet was not what it was today. Google didn't exist, but I still managed to find tests. And it taught me that I was very resourceful in finding ways around challenges. And I think it's the same thing with today. As soon as COVID hit, first of all, I had to see it as an opportunity. So I had to find, opportunities around opportunities for my business and my life. But I personally believe that what's going on in the world right now, whether it's COVID or just 2020 in general, we are more connected than ever before. We have opportunities to be more connected than ever before. It's just one, curiosity. So people asking themselves, like, how can I be more connected? Or who would I enjoy connecting more with more? Or, what steps can I take every single day in order to connect with one new person every day or every week? And then it becomes to a set of habits, because that's really what networking really is. Networking is not a set of tools. Networking is not something that you learn. Networking is something that you're born with, and then you choose to either develop it or not. So networking is a set of mindset and skill sets that really help you to improve the habits that you have. And, do I go out and meet new people once a month? Do I follow up with nice people that I've met? Do I try to keep connection with people that I met once or twice, even though there is no business opportunities? Do I allow people to speak when I meet them at events? Do I host events in my house? It's okay to host dinners at your house. Through COVID, we've been hosting dinners at our house. It's okay. So it's just habits.
I can totally relate to that. A little bit of a story from my end is when I was about 16, 17, and the business world was coming onto my radar, I suddenly realized, I was like, I don't really have a lot of people who I can speak to. I can think I've probably got a similar story to you, where I was quite introverted, and I couldn't even go out there and speak to girls at the bar or anything like that. I was very, very shy to go out there and initiate that initial part of connecting with someone. And I made it just my one little habit, which was every single day, it's a bit of a weird story, but every single day I used to go to the gym sauna, and I'd go train, I'd go into the sauna, and I was like, right, I've got 10 minutes where you've got that silence and you've got an ice-breaking moment with someone. And I made it my goal. I was like, my first initial thing is I've got to leave knowing this person's name, what they do, and a little bit of a story about them. And I made it my first initial habit to get the ball rolling with my own kind of like confidence in communication, with just doing something as simple as that. And I really feel like
I love that, because also in the sauna, you're quite vulnerable. Some people are potentially naked in the sauna, but you're kind of, there's no phone with you. There's nothing there that could distract you.
Definitely. But it's also funny as well, because I've always noticed in kind of like those situations, I don't know if it's just me, but other people who I've spoken to, there's always kind of like that desire to connect with someone. Like, even though you both sat there, there's always kind of like an urge, a feeling like we should be speaking. Or does that make sense? If you're in close proximity, there should be something happening there.
So it doesn't just make sense, actually. It's the human nature. And usually, as anyone who's listening right now, if you ever have that intuition, that instinct, that feeling inside of you, I'd like to talk to this person, I think we should be talking. At that exact same moment, that person is thinking the exact same thing. And then it comes down to, who's the hero? Who's the one with the superpowers? And as soon as you say something, the other person is going to feel so relieved and so appreciated. And the easiest thing is just to say, talk something positive, I think I saw you here at the gym last week. Do you live nearby? Are you working around here? Oh my God, this place is, I love this team where it helps me stay strong so that tomorrow at the office I could be a stronger self. By the way, I'm Gil. Nice, meeting you here in the sauna. You could say whatever. There is no right or wrong pickup lines. People always ask me, Gil, what's the perfect icebreaker? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Every situation, every person, time of the day, it's just time of the year. Just be positive. Be positive and don't talk too much as an icebreaker. That's my only rule. Say something quickly and send the ball to them.
I was going to say, So it's awesome that you've just mentioned, like, keep it positive. I was going to say, so I'm from England, and I think in England we've got quite a bit of a negativity bias, especially when it comes down to communicating. So a lot of like us Brits, we like to connect over something quite negative. And I think this is kind of a world thing. So it's, how are you? I'm not too bad. The weather's not too great today. But I always notice when you try and flip that narrative in people, and you always flip the conversation to positive, it's people are kind of like dumbfounded, and they're like, "Oh, no one's ever really asked me these things."
It would be so much easier for anyone if they flip it over, and instead of saying "not bad," and instead of saying "I've had better days," just say, "You know what? I'm grateful that I'm here today." Just I'm really happy that I'm sitting in the sauna right now. In your case, I'm really happy that I'm finally getting to disconnect from my office. If you're at a networking event, I'm super happy that I'm healthy and strong in here talking to you. By the way, I'm Gil. What's your name? Just it doesn't and it's not just in England, by the way. It's quite a few different cultures in the world that answer not bad. If someone says, "How are you?" Not bad. Historically, we have been programmed. Networking is not something that someone is going to learn from zero. Networking is depending on what age. For example, let's just talk about your listeners, whoever is listening to this. Let's just say 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever they are. They're not starting to learn networking. They've been learning to network for the last 20 years, if they're 20 years old. From the minute you're born, you're networking with your parents, and then you're networking with other babies, and you're networking with kids. Like I have 2 young kids, and I see that the greatest thing to give kids is the ability to network with kids who are a little bit older than them. Yeah. They learn faster. They speak faster. They walk faster. My daughter started walking because the kids around her were walking, were a little bit older, and they were already walking. And boom, she walked. My son is developing much, much faster because he's got his sister, who's a couple of years older than him, and doing things in front of us. So he's just copying her all the time. And the same thing with networking. We've been copying our parents, our community, our friends. And one of the greatest things I tell people to do during COVID time is 1, change your body, 2, change your network. Easiest thing. If you see the world is going through change your body, change your network.
I love that. Something that's just immediately popped to my mind, I've not even made this on the notes, was kind of like then when you were saying about the child and XYZ. I always think, like, when you're consciously aware of networking, you start to network for growth. Whereas if you're not really aware of the connections you're building or whatnot, you kind of start networking for more safety, or if you're in a scarce place. If that makes sense. So I was just thinking, like, is it kind of a key thing that when you do some work on yourself, you start actually realizing the connections you're making are actually helping you and moving you forward? You start becoming more aware of the people that you connect. It's kind of like there's the law of proximity, isn't there?
There's a lot of science actually to what you're saying right now. I've been studying this for a long, long time, and I've been very fortunate to have been able to deliver more than 500 speeches in the last 6 years and speak in front of many, many corporations, and multiple governments have asked me to come and talk to them about, governments networking, or within the government itself, how do we build a better network internally? And of course, hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs that I've taught about the new code of networking. And the new code, first of all, it's not the old school networking where you network to get sales, you network to achieve your goals, you network to, to find sex, you network to find investors. I believe that the new code of networking is 1, networking to learn. So you network to find mentors. And I love that today I'm in a position where every single person I network with, I right away see them as a mentor, right away, which means my curious mindset is interested in them. I want to ask them questions. I give them attention. My eyes are open. Whatever they say to me, I'm excited. I'm like a kid. Like, wow, tell me more. Like, what do you do when you're not working? I'm really interested because it's a new human being. And that's something I've developed, and I love that it's natural for me. And the second one is I look for what I call strategic partnerships, or value-added partnerships, where you can meet someone and you could potentially, you don't have to do business with them. They don't have to become a client or a supplier, an investor or anything, but they could potentially become someone that you can somehow serve each other. Maybe your clients are similar, so you can introduce each other to clients. Maybe you've had past experience in what they're trying to do, or vice versa, and you could learn from that person. You could take them out for lunch and they can help you somehow. There are, a dozen plus different systems and methodologies that I teach people, that when you're meeting someone, there is so much value in that person. Don't just look to connect the dots of, could this become a client? Can I become this? Can this become my best friend? Could this become my investor? Because people sometimes think too short term, and that's the fault of society, where they think I need a result right away from this person, or it's not worth me following up. And that's horrible. That's like, it's really, in my opinion, it's actually disgusting that we would expect results where people meet me and, the next day they send me a pitch deck, and I haven't agreed to look at their pitch deck, or they send me a proposal for a service in their company, or they meet me on LinkedIn, for example, and right away they tell me, this is what our company does. If you know someone who's looking for this service, please introduce us. Who are you? I don't even know you. Why would I introduce you to someone randomly? You haven't done anything for me. It's like they're not trying to build a partnership. It's just randomly asking for solutions instead of asking for help. And I'm a believer that in networking, it's a very beautiful thing to ask for help, because you're showing vulnerability and you're willing to listen to advice. You're willing to allow someone to be your teacher instead of for someone to give you a solution where you haven't really invested anything into that networking bank yet. Why are you looking to get an immediate return on investment?
Gil, I'd love to ask you, I think it's a prime opportunity whilst we've got you on the show. Our audience is pretty much people who are kind of like new to the business, startup, or just getting going into those initial stages. I know for me personally, like my network has been the biggest thing. And at one point in my life, I did not have that whatsoever. I'd love to get from you, if for people who are listening who are at that place in their life at the minute, who are actually pushing the ball forwards and moving something, a project or a vision forwards, would you have like a golden to-do list or something to become a more effective networker? Is there like a bullet point list, or kind of like 3 keys or something along the lines of that, which we could really help our audience with?
So there's actually 100 principles in order to become a master of networking. And that's what I've come up with so far in my life. And I'm still a student. On my best days, when I'm the greatest networker in my eyes, I would rank myself as a 6 out of 10. Just to give people some perspective, so they could choose to judge themselves to understand what is the next level for me. Because what I tell people is that I've met people who are truly great at human networking, really at a whole different level than what I can even foresee right now. But I'm practicing still every day, because it requires perseverance and some developing self-esteem. Because, sometimes if I'm walking in front of a very high-level official, a local king of Indonesia, a CEO of a big company, a president of a country,
or Tony
self-esteem
Robbins.
And confidence is, Tony Robbins. I was shaking. Oh my God, I was shaking. First time I met him, it was so funny. He saw how nervous I was, and he's like, "Don't be so nervous," and he gives me this big bear hug, man. It was funny, man. But even the last time when I met up with him in his house, we had a one-on-one chat. I was still a little bit nervous on the way there. I asked the driver to actually stop down the road, not to drive me in, just so I can walk. I can just be a little bit more calm as I was walking into his house, because, man, it was a nerve-wracking moment. But, in other times, for example, when I knew I was going to meet Richard Branson the first time, what I did in advance is I didn't know I was going to have a big talk with him. But I knew I'd be able to get into a room with him, and I had an objective. One, have a little chit-chat with him and see if you can get contact information maybe of his assistant. And number 2, can you get a selfie with Richard Branson? Why not? And when I walked into this room, it was the backstage room of a big event where he was speaking. And I walked in, it was like 20 plus people in the room. And I remember so clearly that there was a guy on a sofa with him, and Richard is like having his tea, and there's like all this kind of food and stuff on the table that no one is touching. And then there's all these people sitting around. Very important people were in this room. I knew some of them. And when I walked in, it was clear that everyone in the room, even though some were extremely successful, were speaking to him like he's up here. So they were nervous. Like, you're the guru, Richard. Like, give us answers, which is what happens a lot in networking, because many, many cultures have a status mindset. I am here. This person is here. I must look up. What I've learned in networking, if you're able to go and sit next to a homeless person on the street every single day for 1 week, you'll understand that there is no status in networking. There's just respect. There's communication. If you're able to network lower than you, and in some people's eyes, this person is lower, that person is poor, go speak to the woman who works in the supermarket. Start a conversation with a woman who works in the supermarket for the last few years, Imagine her life. What is her network like? She doesn't go to networking events, but that's why her life is to that level. And she might be very, very happy, but we must respect them. We must give them attention if we can. We must allocate some of our time to them, because if we can network at that level, we can network with a Richard Branson. And for me at that point, what I saw was a window of opportunity of sudden silence after Richard gave an answer, because it was very clear to me that Richard was tired of giving answers that he's given 1,000 times, and answers that anyone can go and read, and they can read his answers. And I did my research, and I knew what was important for Richard at that point. And I said, Richard, hi, I'm sorry for just stepping in, but I'm very curious. What help do you need from people in this room in order to launch Virgin Airline Moscow, London? Because every single year, my company takes thousands of people from Russia to London, and we'd like to fly with Virgin Airline. So in that question, and I'm paraphrasing myself a little bit, but in that question, I told everyone in the room what it is that I do. I told everyone in the room that I knew what Richard wanted to talk about, because just that week, he did an interview listing the top 3 countries in the world that he wants to get Virgin Airline into. Like that, why are you guys not talking about what he wants to talk about? And that answer, he gave me a really, really good answer. And I said to him, you know what, like, it'd be really cool if we can collaborate, because we take all these thousands of people to your friend, Tony Robbins, and we'd love to just maybe, if possible, let me know when you're going to launch this. I'm happy to take the first 2 planes and fill them up with awesome Tony Robbins fans, and maybe you can even jump on the plane with us. And people in the room, you see them all looking at me like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? Like, did you just network with Richard Branson so closely? And I didn't stop there, because I knew that Richard had important things with him. So I saw that no one's jumping in, because suddenly everyone knew that, okay, Gil, many of them knew Gil is a networking guy, so they're kind of listening. But it was funny, because right next to me, there was one of the top richest guys in Russia. He's like in the top 100 in Forbes, maybe even top 20 in Forbes. And he looks back at me, and with very, very bad English, he says, teach me how you do this, please. This was in Russia at the time. Because he's a billionaire, and he's not able to do this with Richard. And the funniest thing after kind of everybody gets up, like people at the time was like, I'm like offering Richard some more tea, because it's clear that he finished his tea and he put it down, and no one offered him more tea. Why? There's a teapot right there. So right away I went and I offered him more tea. So it put me in a position where I have to move in front of everyone and position myself, like you said, in proximity to him. And all of that was like about 15, 20 minutes, but the whole meeting with him was over 30 minutes. And it was cool because I managed to get his business card at the end, his business card.
That is such an accolade. Who out there do you know? You're the first person I know who's managed to get Richard Branson's business card.
No, but I know, I'm sure it's not that challenging. It's like a few, but for me, that was important because, I had the value to offer him. Maybe not everyone could position themselves. I think everyone can offer value to anyone as long as they understand to position themselves in that way. And it's funny, but people were asking to get selfies with him, and his publicist said, "No, not right now. Let's do it after the event." And I kind of went to the side after to say thank you very much to him for answering the questions and allowing us to help him to be more active in the Russian market. And I said to him, you know what? Like, I wish maybe one day, if you come back here, I'd love to bring my wife to this event because she was pregnant at the time. And I said, she just finished reading your book. She's not going to believe I met you. He's like, let's take a quick selfie without my publicist seeing. And he said to me, let's take a selfie, which is also a very big thing if you guys consider that, because many, many times when you go to a celebrity or someone famous and say, can I have a selfie, please? And you don't say anything else to add value, you're putting that person on a pedestal where instead of saying, thank you very much for your contribution, or thank you very much for your speech, or thank you for your inspiring book, what you just say or what you wrote made such a massive difference in my life. I want to let you know that today marks a huge day in my growth, and a lot of it has to do with you. Do you mind if I take a quick photo with you to mark this moment in my life? Something like that is so much more powerful than, can I have a selfie, please? Because then you're putting that person not on a pedestal, but you're putting that person in a strong position where you're making them feel proud to take a selfie with you.
Gil, a big topic, like an underpinning thread that's kind of just looped into all of these conversations and clearly just popped out there is it's giving. Is the art of connection actually giving without expectation and caring and coming from a place of love instead of, I want this from this person? How can I help you? What can I give?
So I used to say that. I used to say that in the past, in my first book, I said that a lot, that it's about caring, it's about giving. But today, for me, networking is actually, it's funny, but I have this one very famous slide where I show a Swiss Army knife. And as a Brit, you'd appreciate that, because I used to show that Swiss Army knife with many, many, many things open. And I said, be a tool. And of course, my British friends would say, what do you mean be a tool, man? Come on. But, so for the non-Brits in the room, the kind of be a tool is kind of, you could be stupid, don't be a tool. But actually, the depth of it is yes. Be a little bit stupid in a vulnerable way. Show people that you're willing to learn something else. Show people that even though you're a Swiss Army knife with all these abilities, you still have some things that you're willing to learn. You're still willing to sharpen that knife a little bit. You're still willing to learn how to use that one, they're like the crazy Swiss Army knife. Sometimes you don't know what that is. What is this thing for? I don't even know. Like, there's so many different things in the Swiss Army. So it means that we have so many abilities that we haven't yet sharpened enough. So to me, today, networking is really trying to understand what kind of a tool you are and how can you be a better serving to people, because we have super abilities. So it's not just about serving people and giving people without expecting anything, because some people would say, no, Gil, I've been hurt in the past because I gave, and I never got back. So there is a give and take, because there is a specific amount of energy that we have. And if we learn how to develop and sharpen our different tools, we will understand who we can give to. And they don't have to give us something back, but just because of their acknowledgement, their smile, their positive attitude, we will gain back. Or that person, I made 3 introductions to them, but they never even thanked me for the introductions. I shouldn't introduce them again, maybe. But that person, I made 3 introductions, and even though they didn't develop anything, they always said thank you to me. They always followed up with me. They always acknowledged me for that. That is something else. Even though that introduction didn't develop into a big deal, I got acknowledgement for making the effort to think about someone else's needs. And I think that's a beautiful thing with networking. When you become stronger in networking, you become more valuable in your community. You gain human wealth. And to me, one of the beautiful, I'm a very wealthy person because I've known how to grow a beautiful network around me. And I take care of this garden of Eden of connections. That is my wealth today. Where if I need something, if I have a challenge, whether if I have a challenge because in business strategy or something legal, or, my wife is a business partner. So I have a mentor who's been doing business with his wife for 30 years and he can give me some advice. Or, when you build this network of people behind you, it becomes all about co-elevation. A really good friend and mentor, Keith Ferrazzi, coined this term this time last year, but co-elevation. Can you elevate everyone around you? Yes. That's when you succeed in life. That's when everything happens to you when you need it to happen to you.
I can totally relate to that. I think it's a beautiful, when you connect two people together and even though, they might not have been able to help you, but when you partner those two together and you just watch something amazing blossom, it's absolutely incredible. But the amount of praise that people give to you for that just initial touch point that could have changed that person's life is remarkable. So
it is, and it's never too late to say thank you to someone. One of the greatest ways of following up, to anyone who's listening, take a 5-minute or a 10-minute break after this podcast and look through your phone and just scroll down as much as you can on WhatsApp, for example, 3 to 6 months back, and start scrolling through me and see which one of these people should I be thankful for. Like, did they invite me to an interesting event and maybe I met someone else? Maybe they invited me to their house and I never invited them back. Maybe they introduced me to someone. Maybe they bought me a birthday present and I never properly said thank you. Maybe they bought me a drink one time, or they bought me lunch and I never followed up. And follow up with them. Just tell them that your name popped into my head, or I thought about you during COVID time and I just really wanted to follow up with you. And don't just say, hi, John, how are you? Tell them how you are and then ask them how they are. So to me, that's the easiest way of following up and saying thank you. Wow, so beautiful and powerful.
I absolutely love that. I really, really do love that. Do you feel that at the minute that's kind of a big thing for a lot of entrepreneurs and people like that, is just simply building the correct circles around them? Like, one of the biggest things I've noticed is in entrepreneurship, a lot of people really just isolate themselves and it becomes a bit of a lonely place. Whereas just actually creating meaningful relationships doesn't just help you on a business sense, it can drastically help you on a personal sense as well.
It does. And you bring up one of the biggest pain points I remember having as an entrepreneur earliest stage, because I was always taught that I could do it. Come on, if you try, you could do it. Come on, you could do it, And it's actually awful, because now I see my daughter, 4 years old, saying, Daddy, I can do it alone. But it doesn't empower them to ask for help. It doesn't empower them to allow someone to help them. And it's horrible, because most humans today don't accept help. No, thank you. No, you see an old person on the street carrying something. Can I help you? No, it's okay. It's okay. You see someone at the airport going down the stairs with a couple of suitcases. Can I help you? No, it's okay. It's okay. And that's because of society and trust. People are afraid to trust strangers because they think if I accept their help, maybe they will ask me for help back. Or if I accept their help, maybe I will need to pay them. People believe that accepting help is a sign of weakness. And it's not. It's a sign of strength, of I'm willing to delegate, I'm willing to escalate, I'm willing to grow. And for me today, asking for help is one, you surround yourself with a stronger and stronger community, which is something as a coach I do for all of my clients. I tell them that within 3 months, we will do a full reset of your network. Usually you would maintain about 30% of the network that you've had, and 70% will become new people, new mentors, new friends, new people for hobbies, people who are as successful or more successful than you are, people who are 2 to 3 steps ahead of you, who are willing to help you when necessary, because they don't have an old biased opinion of who you are. They're excited about who you can become. And the second thing is masterminds. Masterminds are a topic that I've been going very deeply into for the last few years, which is the easiest and quickest way of building a community, of being vulnerable, of asking for help from complete strangers, of meeting people who are like-minded, meeting people who are willing to also ask you for help. And to me, masterminds came very naturally, because now I facilitate at least 2 masterminds per week, one online, one offline. And it's beautiful to see how complete strangers from different cultures would come together, and how a teacher in Zimbabwe can add value to an entrepreneur in Moscow, and how the entrepreneur in Moscow can add value to a policeman in the US. Because as long as each is asking for a specific kind of help on their business, on their life and advice, you'd be surprised how much a complete stranger can help you when they're placed in that position, when they're in that structure of now we have 10 minutes to help this person. You're not thinking return on investment. You're not thinking, what am I going to get in return? You're thinking, wow, I got 10 minutes to look at my whole life experience and in 2-3 minutes, give value to this person. And if I do a good job, then when it's my turn, all of these people would add value to me. And when it's structured well, and I take very, very good care of all my masterminds, and I'm very precise with the way I facilitate masterminds, everyone gets to be an angel for others. Everyone gets to have light shining on them, and everyone learns how to turn on their high beams. A lot of people don't know how much light, how much value they could really shine upon others. But I've learned how to adjust people's frequencies, which is a much deeper level of networking. We could talk about that next time. How to adjust people's frequencies in order for them to connect deeper and better, and how they can add value to people faster as well.
100%. I mean, when we were our mutual friends, and obviously you'd had a bit of an input into the way that the structure had been ran, it was amazing. Now, because I've been in masterminds quite a lot, and I loved how you structured it. I've noticed in a lot of these networking or mastermind communities, when you go, effectively they just pull a load of people together into a room, and just there is no structure. It's just go, have coffee, have drinks. And the thing that I loved about your method and the way that you structured it together is, even though there was kind of like 3 or 4 segments to the event, they were so intentional. So intentional, where it was like, I've got something, I've asked for help, I've networked, and it was just a myriad of value that was given.
I think it's important to bypass, unless you have time and you want to go and, just have fun at an event and chit chat with people. That's great. I love small talk. I love going to some random event. It's wonderful. But if you're in a position today in life where, maybe you're married, or maybe you have kids, or you have a business, you have some stress, you got some responsibilities, and time is very, very valuable for you right now. Bringing a little bit of structure into the way a conversation or a mastermind is held gives you much faster, I don't want to call it return on investment, but it just gives you a lot more, beautiful outcome for how that group just connects. And I love that.
Definitely. I mean, well, the ones I've been to in England, you literally get put in a room. It's like, oh, we're supposed to connect. You just hand a card. There's no meaningful conversation. It's just like, here's this. What do you do? No one really asks for anything that can help. So I really think that when you actually start connecting with intention and there's a purpose to it, and it's facilitated and the right thing, I think beautiful things happen. I think it's great to network with people, but obviously,
yeah. And it's not just in England, brother. It's not in England. It's all over the world. It's just people don't know better. That's it.
Yeah.
Like whenever you meet someone and they speak too much to you, all they're actually telling you in between the lines is, I'm really not confident in myself fully, and I'd like for you to like me. So I'm talking a lot about myself, and maybe I'll say something that would resonate with you, and then you would like me. That's all they're actually trying to say to you. Instead of just, talking a little bit and then sending the baton back to you. People just don't know better. That's all. So whenever someone's trying too hard with me at networking, I usually just tap their shoulder twice, and I say something to calm them down, and I say something to neutralize the situation, or I tell them, listen, it's Thursday afternoon or it's Thursday evening. There's no need to tell me about what you do, man. If you didn't have to do this job right now, what would you be doing? I love asking people such questions. Tell me your story, man. Before you started this job, what were you really passionate about? Things like that.
It really is just build the relationship, isn't it? Go out there to build the relationship. Don't go out there with a condition or an expectation.
Conditions are only conditions that you set upon yourself. So, look confident and smell good, and, make sure you don't have anything green in your teeth, and don't eat garlic before you go out. And, make sure that you don't have sweaty palms if you shake people's hands, and like little things like that. Don't hold your phone when you're networking with people. Conditions to me are important. And expectations, again, set expectations of yourself. Like when I used to go out as a young single man, I was like, expectations, talk to 3 women or don't leave. And then it was like, talk to 3 women, get at least 1 phone number or you don't go home. And then it was like, talk to 3 women, get 1 phone number and call her the next day. It's like conditions. Yeah, I gave myself expectations, but don't expect anything of people because they'll feel that from you and they'll mirror you. So if you know that people are going to mirror you, why don't you be an awesome human?
We've been talking around the topic of masterminds. Obviously put my input in there and we've gone into kind of like your strategy. If we were to sum it up for people who are kind of new to the idea of masterminds, because I really think there's going to be a huge future in masterminding, especially with what's going on in the world right now. How would we kind of like explain, and for a beginner, what actually is a mastermind, just so that people can understand?
So a mastermind for me is the opportunity to activate the collective genius. And what does that mean? I don't believe I'm a genius, but I believe I'm quite smart, street smarts. And in order for me to have the answers that I need in life and in business for the daily challenges, daily problems, opportunities that come up, whatever it is in business, some big, some small, but we constantly have forks in the road. In order to have the constant flow of answers, constant flow of solutions, constant flow of new opportunities, what we must do, we must have a group of people around us that have no judgment and no bias about us, and they don't get any return if you succeed or not. So they're willing to give because a mastermind puts usually 7 to 9 people in a, I like to call them round tables. Today we do them on Zoom, which is completely okay. And I've been doing them on Zoom actually for the last 3 years. So when COVID hit, I was completely comfortable with it. And what's the way it works is that you're able to ask for people's opinions about a fork in the road, about a challenge that you have. For example, I've just hired my first employee and I'm not sure how to manage them. Or I'm doing everything myself in the business and I'm not sure who to bring in as a partner or as an employee. Or I've been running this business for the last 15 years. I got 100 employees underneath me. I'm not sure if I should pivot the business, if I should sell it, or if I should just bring in a managing partner to run it for me. Or I'm doing business with my wife and I'm finding that we're having a lot of conflicts in our personal lives, and in business, we're not really, we don't have as much, synchronized communication as we should in the business because the personal life is not doing well. Or, one person said the other day, I've made so much money in my life. I'm very, very successful. I'm semi-retired right now, even though I'm only 45, but I've lost all passion in life. And, what's the best advice you guys can give me to regain that passion? So it's all these very practical questions that we need. And it could be just, I've just launched my coaching academy and I'm stuck not knowing where to get clients. Or I'm tired of selling everything offline myself. I'd like to learn how to sell things online. And the most amazing thing, the people in the room around you don't have to be the greatest experts in the world. That's the most amazing thing, where the best masterminds for me is when you have a professional like myself, an expert in facilitating and curating masterminds that know how to put different quality of people around the table, but people who definitely have experience that is somehow relevant. So there could be that a guy who's been 20 years in real estate suddenly now is doing online education for real estate. And suddenly he's learned it very, very quickly, but he still hasn't picked up enough of the new trends. And this young person who doesn't know anything about real estate, but has been doing online education for the last 10 years, can give that guy a couple of tips that is so relevant and it's so up to date, they'll get that answer. And that's the most beautiful thing about masterminds, that if you're willing to trust the practice, which is number one, you're willing to experiment a few times. Don't try it once and say, that's not for me. Don't try it once and give up, because it's not fair to judge something after one time. Maybe the facilitator you found is not good, so you could try two different facilitators. But we launched something called Mastermind Space. Literally mastermind.space. And it's basically what we decided to do during COVID. Instead of charging people, thousands of dollars, I just told the team, take 1 0 out. Literally. I just said, before it was like 3,000 or 1,500, make it 150. Like literally take 1 0 out, because we need to give this to the world. And the vision became, let's build the biggest communities in the world of people that want to mastermind maybe once a week or a couple of times a month. Let's give this to the world. The facilitators, the solutions, the community, people all over the world come from different time zones. I was shocked how many people we had from corners in the world, that places that I've never even heard of, countries. And I'm an educated person. Look, countries that I've not heard of suddenly are showing up in our masterminds. And what we've realized is that someone who's having challenges maybe now in Europe can add, and maybe he's like 25, can add so much value to someone in their early 40s who's somewhere in a corner of Africa who's never done anything with online education. And it's amazing how much value people can add. And there's 3 things I tell people they get out of masterminds. They get new connections, which is always great, because in that 90 minutes or 2 hours, depending on how long a good mastermind is, you go very deep with people. It's not blah, blah networking. Number 2, you get some relevant input, get relevant solutions from, interesting people. Not necessarily the best people in the world, or not like the highest level experts, but they're very relevant, and they want to help. And number 3, you get some ideas, you get some new opportunities, because you get to listen to other people's problems, and you get to listen to other people giving them solutions. And that's really cool, because you're learning things that you should be learning. To me, that's the greatest university you can have. Learning about real problems from real people constantly. That's why I like doing it 2-3 times a week.
Absolutely love it. I think as well with you, it's the whole never be the smartest person in the room, or never act like the smartest person in the room.
Man, I love finding smart people around me, man. And even though they might not think they're smarter, I will help them feel they're smarter, because I want to really learn something from them. They've experienced something else in life. They come from a different place. So why not learn?
100%. Gil, how do you feel the future of masterminding, connecting, and networks going to look after this time? There's clearly going to be a big shift in a lot of things, a lot of the ways that we communicate in the new world when COVID or whatever this world mess currently is. How do you feel it's going to evolve in the next few years?
So it's I like this question. I've been asked this a lot in the last few months. Some people in the world see me as a futurist when it comes to communities and networking, because I do so much studying about it. And I have some extreme opinions that might scare some people, but I'm not going to do that with all of you right now. But if you want to know some extreme opinions, let me know. Follow up with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, better LinkedIn or Instagram, and ask me for my extreme opinions about where really communities are going to be in this new world order. I think that, COVID's going to last a little while, and whatever happens after will definitely make networking better, because people will be forced to disconnect from the people they have around them right now, and they'll be forced to connect with some new people in order to find a job, in order to set up a business, in order to step out of their comfort zone. The future of communities is the most exciting topic for me ever. And currently we're in the process of supporting 3 different communities in the world to really structure and grow. I take a lot of pleasure in helping different organizations every month to understand how to structure that community, how to build that community. Who do you need as community leaders, community managers? What is that gamification model? What are the values of the communities? Because what's going on now, communities are being built like villages, where village needs to be self-sustainable. It needs to support each other. You need to know your neighbors' names. And today, unfortunately, in the Western world, most people don't know who's living next to them or who lives above them. And I'm hoping that when the second wave of COVID hits and people are quarantined again, they'll get to know their neighbors. They'll walk up and down their building. They'll walk to the house next door and they'll just say, hi, I've been living next to you for the last 3 years. I just wanted to introduce myself. If you ever need any sugar or eggs, let me know. That's just not done, unfortunately, in the world that we live in today. And I think that that is the future of networking, where you will truly network in proximity. You don't have to go to a networking event. You can go within your community, to the park next door, and you'll start talking to the other people who are walking dogs. You'll start talking to the people you see the kids playing in the playground. Why can the mothers not play more? Why are the mothers all on their phones while the kids are networking? And the kids are looking at the mothers, or the fathers, whoever is there. If the parents are not networking, the kids will not find themselves needing to network either, because they're just copying what the parents are doing. And the future of masterminding is very, very, very bright. I think they're going to be cheaper than what they used to be. Today, the big masterminds in the world are like $25,000, $50,000 for a year mastermind. There's no need to spend that much anymore. I think that most people that are smart entrepreneurs will get into masterminds, or at least they'll ask how to set one up. I got an amazing program that I teach about 100 entrepreneurs every single month, how to set up their own masterminds, how to facilitate them, how to run them, how to make money from them. You can make money from a mastermind. It's a business. Yeah, it's a very good business for some. Or you could just do it pro bono and just, contribute to, you can have a men's mastermind. My wife has 2 women masterminds. Now my wife has a pregnant women mastermind, which is amazing. I facilitate a doctor's mastermind. I support people who are very industry specific, like a marketing mastermind, or just random entrepreneurs. It's okay. But I think the future is going to be that communities are going to become more about micro communities, micro influencers, and, really serving within and growing from within, not waiting for outside forces to help us. We shouldn't wait for the government. We shouldn't wait for the schools. So many people are blaming schools for them not speaking another language. They're blaming the government for them not having enough support. No need. You can have a good community around you, a good mastermind, and grow that way.
I really feel that that's one of the beautiful things about this mess that we're in. I think it's really brought people home to kind of like what's important to them. Do you know what I mean? Not relying so much on the system. Everything's been exposed. This isn't working for me. These people don't actually have my back. It's really brought a lot of people home to actually, do you know what really is important? Okay, I feel a little bit lonely. Why can I not go out and connect with more people? It's really knitted people back home, so to speak.
And I love how you said some people don't got your back, man. That's such a beautiful thing to say, because if whoever is listening, one of the greatest things you could do is, it's great, but it's also painful, is do a networking audit. There's 13 stages to it, but I'm just going to give you the one. Just look at the people around you, and you can make 3 circles around your name, 7 people, 15 people, 100 people, and try to start writing things about them. What do you know about them? How do they make you feel? Is this a person that gives you energy, takes your energy away? Are they poisonous into your network because they're always talking about others in a negative way? They're always complaining about traffic or government. Or are they adding nourishment? What are they adding to you? And some people sometimes have double face. Like, what is fertilizer for plants? Fertilizer is shit. So some people might be like a little bit not so nice, but actually they're good for the network because they add value. Maybe they motivate some people sometimes in their style, like an army style. Maybe it's like not so nice, but it's actually good for the network. Maybe they're not so nice as a banker, but they're actually giving a lot of donations and supporting people with money. So audit your network, and then maybe cut some people out, see them less, and choose, who do I now need that's going to get my back when times get tougher? Who do I need that's going to help lift me up when I need it the most? That's a really cool exercise. I help a lot of my clients to hold them by the hand and go through this process, because it's a tiring one, and sometimes it's very emotional. I had to go through this a few times in my life, and it's a very difficult thing to do, to suddenly understand that you don't have enough people that are supporting you, or the people who got your back. And you can't just rely on family and friends. You got to build this new network of people that would really lift you up.
Yeah, I've definitely been there. I'd love to ask you as well, from someone who I really look up to in this area, is there a correct way to cut or end or respectfully close Does that make sense? If something's not necessarily serving you, we've seen a lot again on social media. It's like, are the correct people around you the right for you, or is it a case of just completely cutting them out?
I've written a lot about this. There's a lot there. So we need to look at let's look at a couple of scenarios to make it very practical for people. One, there is cutting someone out when they're in front of you. So if someone is in front of you, whether you know them or not, they're in front of you, you're talking to them, and it's poison right now. It's just random. It's negative. You don't need this right now. You can sense them draining your energy in this moment. And right now, you want to have a cup of tea. You want to go talk to that beautiful person. You need some positivity in your life. You don't need to be the therapist for this person. And that happens every single day. And you should never allow someone to take your energy. If you need energy right now, don't allow them. I'm sorry. They have no right to do it. I don't care if they're your family or your friend. They have no right to do it. So first of all, you got to practice ending that and saying, listen, John or Lucy, it's clear that you're going through something today. I don't know if it was a bad day for you or not, or I know it's not easy times right now. We're all going through changes, but to be honest with you, I've just had a crazy week. What I need right now is a warm cup of tea. And I'd like to go talk to some people about some business development ideas because that's what I need. I'm just going to leave you here right now. And if you'd like to talk to me in the next, 1 hour, come to me and let's have a different kind of conversation. All right. Listen, I love you. If you know this person for a long time, you could say that. But right now I need something else. And that's a hard end. And they need that to hear that. And if it's a person you've just met, you could say, listen, Josh or Mary, it sounds like you're working on some big things in your life, but it sounds like you also have a little bit of stress in your project. One of the things that really helped me is like Tony Robbins and some meditation and something you can consider doing that a little bit more. But if you need more help with that, why don't you follow up with me? Maybe here's my card. Happy to connect with you in the future. And why don't you follow up with me? I can give you some more advice in the future. Right now, I'm just going to go talk to my friend there on the other side of the room. You could do that for them if you want to be nice and offer them some help because maybe they are an interesting person. They're just not resourceful in this moment. That's okay. You could be nice and exchange cards and just say, listen, wishing you all the best of luck. I'm just going to go catch up with my friend because I see them leaving or something like that. Don't tell them I'm going to go to the bar because they might come with you. And if it's someone in your life that's been around in your life, family member, friend for a long time, I've been through this, man. Wow. I've cut my family out a couple of times in my life, and it took me a while to explain to them why I did it. And, I was not in a position where I knew how to do it well. So I just stopped talking to them for a while. I stopped calling them back and suddenly became on WhatsApp a lot more. And, I saw my mom growing so much because of that, because I gave her some feedback and I told her, listen, it's not about me. It's about you. I want you to develop yourself. And, don't worry about what I'm constantly doing in my life. I want to know what you're doing in your life and what hobbies do you have? And are you doing any charity work? Are you contributing to society somehow? If you are, I'd like to talk to you when you're doing that. That would excite me to hear news about you. It's not always news about me and, your other kids. It's about news about you. And with my brother and sister, it was also challenging times at times, where they both of them were big corporate people for a very long time. They didn't get my entrepreneurial spirit. They didn't get me moving around the world. My brother always kept on telling me that him watching me on social media stresses him out because my life is so busy. So it was very clear that we were in different places because my family wanted me to have a grounded job. They wanted me to be more stable, but I didn't want that. So I needed to create some space to show them that this is my life and I can flourish my way. And with friends, I had some people who were very, very close to my life that I remember so clearly about 8 years ago, sitting at dinner with these people and looking around the room. And I'm like, this is wrong. There's something unhealthy here. The conversation is shallow. It's bullshit conversation about something that is so artificial and not helping us right now. I'm an entrepreneur. Most of these people are not. They have good jobs and they're talking about buying this and doing this and going there. And they're talking about other people instead of talking about themselves. Why are we not talking about ourselves right now? Why are we talking about news? Why are we talking about others? And I didn't like that. And I was very emotional at that dinner. I A lot came out of me, maybe a little too emotional, to be honest, but it came out of me. And I remember my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, was next to me. She held my hand because she knew that it was kind of something was coming out of me. And it was just like, that's it, enough. And that day I made a very conscious decision on my way home. I don't want to see any of these people anymore. And for years, I didn't see them. For months, they were calling me, hey, Gil, do you want to? Because I was seeing them every single week. These were like my closest friends at the time. I was like, I'm busy. I'm sorry. I'm busy. I didn't like hard talk like, hey, you guys are all shit. I don't want to talk to you, because they're good people. They're good people, successful people. It's just not the people I needed. So I created space. And by creating space, new people came into my life. So I just told them I was busy. I told them I was doing something else. I was focused on something else. And it took me a long time. It took me a few months to completely reset my network. Now I show people how to do that in a couple of months, much easier and less painful, because I know the systems around it. I know how not to make it painful. But if whoever is listening, if you feel that way right now, there is no better time in the world to make that change. Right now, the universe has given us the time to press reset. And it's the best time to press reset and look out there and look at what's out there and look at who you can connect with and find a couple of mentors and connect with a networking coach. If I can serve you somehow, let me know. There's a lot of videos of me speaking on YouTube for free if you want. There's many programs that I can offer you, but I don't need to sell you anything. But if you want something from me, I'm the only Gil Petersil in the world. It's very easy to find me and ask me for support or help. So today, if I can convince people to do one thing, audit your network and make some big decisions.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I can speak from that place. I've been there, and it's very odd. I've been there at the dinner table situation. I didn't actually stand up and speak, although there was something within me that was definitely wanting to come through, where it's you're at a social event or something like that, and the topics of conversation are just draining. And I think I'd like to add to the point that you've just said. I don't know what it is, whether it's intuition, gut feeling, but there is something within you that knows when you're not around your people. And it's hard to speak about like what that feeling is, but there's something that goes off within you. It really is.
I think it's your soul. It's your intuition speaking to you. It's not saying that these people are not right for you. It's telling you need different energies right now for you to be in your flow. You need someone else right now for you to be your best self. Because if you're not around people who are supporting you to be your best self, you're wasting time. And unfortunately, with age and time, many people push that voice away and they stop listening. And that's why it's a lot easier if people come home after work, they turn on TV, or people would prefer to go on Facebook because there's so much noise out there. It's much easier to allow this noise to come in about other people instead of to listen to the noise, the voice from within. That's why usually people check out Facebook and on Instagram all day long, because it's noise about others.
Well, Gil, look, I want to be respectful of your time. Obviously, we've gone into a lot of topics there, and I just want to kind of like finish on one thing, which was something that you mentioned when we were having dinner the other night, and I think it's so important. And it was to do with kids networking, and I really loved how like a huge value for you was making sure that your kids are constantly networking, like even at such a young age, like really building that skill within them. I'd love to ask you, why at that age, but more to the point, like, I'd love to get some information from you around that can probably help the parents out there, because I really feel that it's a massive thing. And if I give an example, is I was sat around at one of someone who I used to work with, who's a billionaire, and I can remember sitting around the family, and I was listening to the young children, like the conversations that they were having, and the way that they were being, and the things that they were doing, and how creative they were. And I found it absolutely incredible. And one of the things he said to me was like, I genuinely believe that my kids are a product of the conversations that they're having and the people that they're around. And when I saw you and you started speaking about it, I just connected those two things together. And I'd love to get this piece of information from you as well. Like, why is it such a big thing?
Yeah,
So
first of all, anyone who's listening who has anything to do with the education system, please bring networking into a class in every single school in the world. It's not, this is not something I came up with. Anyone who listens to this and listens to their own gut feeling, it makes sense, right? We need to learn how to build relationships. Strangers are not the enemy. Kids need to learn how to not just make friends, but how to make new friends. Changing schools was very hard for me at a young age, but it was one of the greatest things my parents could have given me because I learned how to make new friends. I'm not stuck with the old friends. I didn't feel bad. After I changed school twice, I was excited to change schools again because I was like, hey, new people coming up, Even though it was a little bit scary, it was like I knew already what to do a little bit better at that young age. My kids are 4 and 1.5. So when my daughter turned 4, I taught her what the word networking is. And now when I speak to her, when we go to an event, I just, whisper in her ear, today we're going to go and we're going to meet some new people. It's very important, Ellie, when daddy is speaking to the other adults, I want you to go and try more networking with friends. And if I ask her what is networking, she will say things like talking to new people, being nice to people, giving toys, sharing with other people, giving snacks to other kids. It's very important. It's still not easy for kids to talk to adults. So, for example, whenever we have mastermind dinners, at the beginning of the dinner where it's more of a free flow, I usually would allow our kids to come in and just kind of stand around. They like to just hang out and they just listen. They're just paying attention to how we share. They're paying attention to how we give each person the time to speak and everyone is listening. No one's raising voices. We don't speak above each other. There's no arguments at our mastermind dinners. It's just, there's no space for an argument to happen. There's no space for someone to talk too much. I created that because I used to be the one either talking too much at dinners or not talking at all. It's funny. And today with kids, little things that parents could do depending on how old the kid is, of course. Number one, it's find opportunities for them to be around other kids. So when COVID hit, for example, my kids, 1.5 and 4 years old, I couldn't help them sitting at home. They can't do online education. I can't just have them playing by themselves with a nanny. It doesn't work out. We found a villa, a nice house, 2 minutes walking from our house. We met some different families that were all living within 5 minutes away walking. And we just took over a villa. We found some really cool teachers with a friend of ours, and we created a little school. That's it. It's not an official school, but we found some awesome teachers who got fired. And for me, it was important for my kids to network with other kids. What parents could do with their kids is, first of all, have play dates. Not with the same kids all the time. Try to have some new kids showing up which is an amazing opportunity for parents to network, by the way. Amazing. Having regular play dates and structuring them in a smart way, you can have such great networking opportunities for the adults. If you walk down the street with a kid who's 5, 6, 7, or even 10 years old, tell the kid, I want to play a little game with you. Can you tell me anything positive you see on anyone on the street? Just tell me anything nice you see about anyone. So you could say to them once when they're older, then, can you compliment people in your head? Which is one of the most powerful things I tell adults to do when I show up at any event. We take 30 seconds to a minute and look around the room with no words, in your mind only, compliment as many people as you can. It is the number one way of getting rid of stage fright or of a fear of networking. Walk into any room and in your mind, compliment people. Just compliment them as much as you can. Like, practice. And if you don't know how to compliment people, go on Google and write top 100 compliments you could say to a human being in your head. It's an easy one. Yeah, Google has a lot of answers. But with kids, it's just important to get them to see strangers as people, not as I'm afraid of a stranger. You don't want your kids to be afraid of strangers. It's okay to teach kids, not to take random things from strangers. It's so good to teach kids, don't go into a van with a stranger. Yes. Specific countries, you should teach that, of course. But I don't think that it's good to teach kids to be afraid of all strangers, because strangers are not danger. Strangers are human beings that could potentially be saving your life. They could really, really help. They could make a big difference. And I think it's important that we teach kids these skills early on, because kids will then be able to get a job when they graduate from high school or college. Kids will be able to get internship while they're in college. Kids will be able to get summer jobs when they're still in high school. I had summer jobs from the age of 13. I had summer jobs. It's great. At the age of 13, I set up my first business. And in the first 2 months, I made more money than my dad did, which was really, really cool. And that was me practicing to network. And this is not something I got from my family. My parents were not really ever big on networking. This is something I just picked up because I was an immigrant who got tired of being lonely.
Gil, absolutely incredible. Look, I've loved this conversation. There's a lot in here which can really go out there and help a lot of people. I'd love to know, just to kind of round up on this, if we were to give you a device, and that device, everyone in the world could receive one message, which could help them move forwards, what message would you speak? What message would you give out to the world?
Live with passion, connect with love would be the short one. Live with passion is something I took from Tony Robbins. He's been teaching me that for many, many years. And I personally, I've learned how passion could drive us, how passion can help you become a better networker, how passion is very magnetic and very attractive in other people's eyes, and how passion can get you out of, low points in life. I've been, super broke 3 times in my life, almost bankrupt 8 years ago. And, I've had these down points, and coming back to my passion, different passions in life allows me to regain energy and connect with love. I don't see any other way of connecting with other human beings. Just connect with absolute love. Like, just see greatness in this other person in front of you, and then take time to flip through the pages of their life and learn what stories they could share with you.
Gil, I absolutely love it. Look, complete acknowledgement. I love what you're doing in the world, because I'm proof in the pudding that you can be one connection away from a completely different tomorrow and a completely different life. So I fully get and I'm living proof of what you're putting out there to the world. But more to the point, what you are doing, which is creating safe spaces for people to connect on the things that matter most to them and the things that can help them grow. So Gil, look, I think it's absolutely incredible what you're doing and the work, and more to the point where this is all going. So I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. And for anyone who's listening, it's incredible. I knew as soon as I was listening to you speak at that first event, I was like, I need to connect with this guy and I need to get his message on this show, because I've never heard anyone speak about this topic. And it really is such a powerful one. It really is. It really is. Your social circles, your network.
Well, I'm here to serve as a serial entrepreneur, as a student, as a teacher. This is something I find that has been given to me. And it's one of my purposes. It's one of my missions to give it to as many people in the world. So I'm not, I don't need people to call me if they just want to be my clients. I'm happy to people to call me if they want to interview me, if they want to get me on stage and talking to people online, offline. I find that the world needs to be better connected. And it's one of the greatest ways of people finding more joy and happiness in life. It's to have a better network around them, to be a better quality networker. And it's sad that networking has received a kind of a bad rep over the last few years, because some people didn't know how to do it, and it scared people away. But I don't think we need to change that. We need to allow networking to become a really important and beautiful aspect of our human lives.
Yeah, it really is. Especially when literally we're here to connect. It's madness how it's become so hard, and connect through the right ways, not through the wrong ways, so to speak. But Gil, look, where can people find you? Where do you hang around online? And also, congratulations on the launch of the podcast. Where can people tune in and find out more about you and connect with you?
So the podcast is, a new one for me. I'm still making a lot of mistakes. My team said, let's do it. I said, okay. I don't really have a lot of time for that. But the Collective Genius Code is the name of the podcast. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, easy way to talk to me, but don't just press connect. Send me a message. Tell me that you heard me speak on this podcast. Give me some references. Ask me a question. Tell me something interesting about me, about you. Don't expect me to just read your profile because I get 100 messages a day, but I love connecting with people very, very much. Instagram is a good place to follow me if you want to see some of the charity activities that we're doing. We're doing a lot of charity and support all over the world, especially in Bali, and always launching new missions and new masterminds to serve the world in a better way. Just feel free to connect. If it's easy to connect with anyone in the world, I hope that I'm that guy. So take yourselves out of your comfort zone and make some new connections today.
Gil, look, you're incredible. I'm so grateful that we're connected. So look, thank you for coming on the show and spending some time with us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate the questions, appreciate the time, and let's continue to serve the world together.